Hey everyone, welcome back to Miniature Painting 101, a series of videos where I teach you all about painting miniatures from start to finish and everything in between. This is part 43, Streaking Grime, painting grime streaks on vehicles using a really awesome product from AK Interactive. So today we will be painting some grime streaks, so some streaking grime onto this Land Raider. Now I should mention, before you use the streaking grime product that I'm mentioning, remember to properly seal it. I applied 3 coats, very thin coats of varnish, of satin varnish, and today we'll be using Winter Streaking Grime, one of the streaking grime products from AK Interactive. I highly recommend using them. They are amazing products and they produce some great effects to weather your models. However, to use them, you'll also require mineral spirits, or white spirits, depending on where you live. This will be used as the thinning mechanism to thin down the effect on the model. You'll also require a nice fine-tipped brush, such as this Army Painter fine-tip brush. And I like to use synthetic because I don't want to ruin the brush with this process. And all we do is we start by giving it a really good shake. And now Winter Streaking Grime is like a greenish grime color. You can get several different colors of grime. So give it a good shake, and all I do is I use the grime straight from the lid. That's all I need, and that gives me much more control over loading my brush. And for this process, I don't want a lot of grime on my brush. And you'll see why. The key for this effect are nice, thin lines. I usually start at the point where the grime's going to be going down, and I work my way downwards towards the ground, because that is where the grime would be streaking downwards. And thin lines is the key. This is even what I'm doing right now is too thick. But I'll show you another technique or later to use thick lines if you want to just use thick lines if you don't have a nice brush. And what I do is I alternate brush strokes, some long, some short, some going farther down, some going shorter down. And that's all I'm doing to produce this effect. And then we're going to use our mineral spirits in a moment to clean it up and produce the actual really nice effect. Because when it comes to weathering, especially with effects like these, less is more. So as you can see, I'm just producing my effect, going downwards very carefully and steadily, going downwards with thin lines, and it produces really a dark grunge to it, a dark tinge. So we're going to clean it up. So I pour some mineral spirits in a cup, and then I'm just going to quickly load my brush, I'm going to clean it off first using the mineral spirits, and then I'm going to make sure that it has just a little bit of mineral spirits on it, and we're going to use our mineral spirits to thin down this lines and produce that streaking grime that is actually much more realistic. See, now you can see that the mineral spirits just cleans it right up and removes a lot of the excess effect. So what we're going to do is thin down the lines, and we're going to make some of the longer ones a little shorter, some of the shorter ones a little shorter as well. But just the key is to thin down the lines and produce a nice streaking effect. So as you can see, I'm going to replicate the exact pattern I was doing earlier with the streaking grime with mineral spirits. And now it is thinning down the lines and really cleaning it up and producing that streaking effect. And that's where these products are amazing at using. And that's, as I mentioned, with weathering patterns such as these, less is more. So as you can see now, it's much more even streakier, and you can add a little more or subtract whatever you want. So you can add a little more using the streaking grime, or subtracting the effect with a little bit more mineral spirits and produce that streaking effect. And that's it for this part. And I'll show you in the next part. So I'll show you what another way to do this, use this effect, is to simply paint some lines in the first half of the process. So this will be a 2-step one. And then the next step, so I'm intentionally going with short lines on this one, all very, very short lines. And then the next part, I'm going to add layer by layer downwards. And you can see it produces also a really cool alternative pattern to streaking. So what I'm doing is adding with the streaking grime and then subtracting from it using the mineral spirits. And then I'm going to add another layer of lines downwards, and it produces a really cool aged streaking pattern. So if you want to do it look a little bit more older of an effect, this is a way that you can do it because it shows that the pattern is slightly changed over time. So right now I'm just cleaning up that effect on the top. And when it is to the standards I like, I'm going to add more lines underneath. And I'm going to clean it up too. And it produces this effect produces a slightly different effect to it, as you can see, because the lines kind of change. And it's up to you which pattern or which method you want to use. I personally just use the standard method that I did at the very beginning, but I'm just going to show you a couple alternative methods for using the same product and producing a similar effect. And that's one of them. The next one is using thick lines. Now here's the other effect. You can just produce really thick lines. If you're not very good with fine lines, just draw really thick lines, same way, starting at the point of leaking, work our way downwards, and then do everything with the mineral spirits. And the mineral spirits you can actually use with a thin brush, you can use to produce these intermediate lines in between the thick lines by just slightly adjusting your brush and thinning down these lines, and then because your brush will pick up some of the excess streaking grime, and then if you produce a line between them, you end up getting this nice intermediate pattern where you actually see it'll produce the effect that there's a lot of lines going downwards when in fact you just used a few major thick lines. And then afterwards, remember to clean up your brush properly with the mineral spirits so that you don't get any of the excess effect. And that's it. So now you can use this amazing paint line from AK Interactive. You see on the left is the great streaking grime, and on the right you use the multiple different streaks. Just two different methods. I typically use the standard method that I did at the very beginning, but I just want to show you a couple alternative methods because it's such a great product. And remember, less is more with this product. That is the key. So make sure to let it dry and then afterwards varnish it. So once again, just to summarize, first of all, make sure you varnish the model before using these products because the mineral spirits will strip the paint if you don't varnish it properly. Number 2, apply the streaking grime in very thin lines in a vertical direction from top to bottom. Number 3, clean up the lines using the mineral spirits, or white spirits depending on what you call it, to get that nice streaking effect. The mineral spirits does most of the job. And finally, to protect it, make sure to varnish it afterwards to protect the effect. And remember, less is more. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Miniature Painting 101. And stay tuned for part 44, which is just around the corner. But if you can't wait for next week, check out The Warp. Click on the link below for a free 14-day trial to my premium YouTube channel, where not only we get to see the next 6 months worth of Miniature Painting 101 episodes, you get to see start to finish painting tutorials, battle reports, and just some awesome wargaming content. So go ahead and check out The Warp. I think you'll really love it. So thank you very much for watching once again. Until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting everyone.